My name is James, and I'm writing this while my daughter Emma sleeps peacefully in the next room, safe in the home her mother and I built together. 6 months ago, I thought I'd lose her forever. Not to death like I'd lost my wife, but to a woman whose grief had twisted into something cruel and calculating. Melissa died on a Tuesday. It was sudden, a brain aneurysm that took her while she was laughing at Emma's attempt to paint our dog blue with watercolors. One moment she was the vibrant, loving mother and wife who'd made our house a home. The next, she was gone and Emma and I were alone in a world that suddenly felt too big and too empty. The first few days were a blur of funeral arrangements, sleepless nights, and trying to explain to a 4-year-old why Mommy wasn't coming home. My mother-in-law, Patricia, was there through it all. She held Emma while I made arrangements, cooked meals neither of us could eat, and cried with me when the house fell silent at night. "We'll get through this together," she'd whispered, squeezing my hand at the funeral. For Emma. For Melissa. I believed her. God help me, I actually believed her. The change started small. Comments about my work situation. I run a software development company from home, have for the past 6 years. What started as freelance coding had grown into a full operation with 12 remote employees and contracts with Fortune 500 companies. But to Patricia, I was just playing on computers all day. "Emma needs stability," she'd say, watching me work from my home office while Emma played in the next room. "A father who goes to a real job sets an example of hard work." "I am working, Patricia. I'm running a company." She'd purse her lips. "If you say so, dear." 3 days after the funeral, she started asking about Emma's routine. Was I capable of maintaining it? Did I know her favorite foods? Her bedtime stories? Had I thought about how I'd manage when the reality set in? "Maybe Emma should stay with me for a while," she suggested on day 5. "Just until you figure things out. A young girl needs a woman's influence." "She needs her father," I said firmly. "We're managing fine." The truth was we weren't fine. We were devastated. But we were devastated together, and that meant everything. Emma slept in my bed most nights, crying for Mommy. I held her and cried too. We ate cereal for dinner and wore the same pajamas for days. But we were surviving, and that was enough for now. On day 7, exactly 1 week after Melissa's death, I was served with legal papers. Patricia was suing me for full custody of Emma, citing parental unfitness and neglect. I stood in my doorway in yesterday's t-shirt, holding legal documents that accused me of being unable to provide proper care for my daughter. The process server looked uncomfortable, muttering sorry for your loss before practically running back to his car. The accusations were as cruel as they were false. I was unemployed and living off savings. I showed signs of severe depression rendering me incapable of childcare. Emma was neglected and living in unsanitary conditions. I had no means of providing stable income or health care. That evening, Patricia called as if nothing had happened. "How's my grandbaby? Can I come see her tomorrow?" "You're suing me for custody," I said, my voice deadly calm. "Oh, James," she sighed like I was a child throwing a tantrum. "It's not personal. I'm just thinking of what's best for Emma. You're grieving. You can't possibly care for her properly while working from home. She needs structure, proper care, a real family environment. We are a real family. You're a single man who sits at a computer all day. Be reasonable. Emma needs her grandmother." I hung up on her. Then I called my lawyer, not some small-town attorney, but David Brennan from Brennan and Associates, one of the top family law firms in the state. I'd hired them to handle contracts for my company. Time to see if they were as good with custody battles as they were with software licensing agreements. She filed for emergency custody, David told me after reviewing the papers. Claims imminent harm to the child. It's aggressive, but judges sometimes favor grandparents in the immediate aftermath of a tragedy. We need to respond fast and hard. Money's no object, I told him. Do whatever it takes. He paused. "James, I need to know, is there any truth to her claims? Any reason a judge might. I work from home running a company that grossed $4 million last year. Emma has the best healthcare money can buy, a college fund that could put her through Harvard twice, and a father who loves her more than life itself. The only thing Patricia's right about is that I'm grieving. But so is Emma, and separating us now would be cruel." "4 million. David's tone changed. "Why does she think you're unemployed?" "Because I never told her otherwise. My wife knew, of course, but I learned early on that Patricia equates wealth with worth. If she knew about the money, every interaction would have been about it. We wanted a normal relationship. Well, David said drily, that ship has sailed. Send me everything: bank statements, tax returns, character references. We're going to bury her. The court date was set for 3 weeks later. Patricia had hired Maxwell and Jones, a local firm known for aggressive tactics. She'd also begun a campaign of what I can only call psychological warfare. She showed up at Emma's preschool, telling teachers she was concerned about the home environment. She called my neighbors, asking if they'd noticed any troubling behavior. She even contacted Melissa's friends, spinning tales of my inability to cope. But Patricia made one crucial mistake. She underestimated me. While she was spreading rumors, I was documenting everything. Every text where she demanded to take Emma. Every voicemail where she threatened to do whatever it takes. Every witness who could testify to my competence as a father. More importantly, I had something she didn't know about: resources. Not just money, but connections. My clients included CEOs, tech leaders, and yes, lawyers. Lots of lawyers. The day before the hearing, David called with an update that made me actually smile for the first time since Melissa's death. "You're going to enjoy this," he said. "Patricia's lawyer, Robert Maxwell? He just received a job offer from my firm. Senior partner position, starting Monday. He's accepted, which means he'll be withdrawing from your case due to conflict of interest." "You poached opposing counsel?" "We've been courting him for months. The timing is just fortunate. Patricia will have to scramble for new representation. But here's the beautiful part. He's ethically obligated to withdraw without sharing any strategy they've discussed. She'll be walking in essentially blind. That's devious. That's winning. Oh, and James? Wear your best suit tomorrow. First impressions matter." The morning of the hearing, I dressed carefully in a charcoal suit that cost more than most people's monthly mortgage. Emma wore the yellow dress Melissa had bought her for Easter, her dark hair in pigtails the way her mother used to style it. "Where are we going, Daddy?" she asked, swinging her legs in her car seat. "To see a judge, sweetheart. He's going to ask some questions about our family." "Will Grandma be there?" "Yes." "Is she still mad at us?" My heart broke. "She's not mad at you, baby. Never at you." The courthouse was a modern building of glass and stone, all clean lines and cold efficiency. Patricia was already there, dressed in her Sunday best, flanked by an harried-looking young lawyer who was clearly her last-minute replacement. She gasped when she saw Emma and moved toward us, but David stepped smoothly between us. "Mrs. Hamilton, please direct all communication through counsel. I just want to see my granddaughter. You'll have that opportunity to state your case before the judge." We were called into the small courtroom at exactly 10 a.m. Judge Morrison, a woman in her 60s with sharp eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses, reviewed the files before her. "This is a petition for emergency custody filed by Patricia Hamilton, maternal grandmother," she began. "Mrs. Hamilton, since your attorney of record has withdrawn, I'll ask directly, do you wish to proceed or postpone?" Patricia's new lawyer started to speak, but she cut him off. "I want to proceed, Your Honor. Every day that child spends in that man's care is a day of neglect." "Strong words, Mrs. Hamilton. Let's see your evidence." What followed was painful to watch. Patricia painted a picture of me as a neglectful father, unemployed and depressed, allowing Emma to live in squalor while I wallowed in grief. Her lawyer, clearly unprepared, fumbled through accusations without concrete evidence. Then it was our turn. David was masterful. He presented bank statements showing my company's revenue. Tax returns proving years of steady income. Health insurance documents. Emma's college fund statements. Photos of our clean, well-maintained home. Glowing character references from teachers, neighbors, and friends. "Your Honor," David said, "Mr. Thompson isn't just financially capable of caring for his daughter. He's been her primary caregiver alongside his late wife for 4 years while building a successful business from home. The petitioner's entire case rests on the prejudiced assumption that working from home equals unemployment." But the moment that clinched it came when Judge Morrison asked to speak with Emma in her chambers. It's unusual for a judge to interview a 4-year-old, but she insisted. They were gone for 20 minutes. When they returned, Emma was holding a lollipop and the judge's expression had shifted entirely. "Mrs. Hamilton," Judge Morrison said, her voice cold, "your granddaughter just told me something very interesting. She says you told her that Daddy couldn't take care of her because he plays on computers and that she'd be happier living with you. Is that correct?" Patricia went pale. She misunderstood. A 4-year-old misunderstood you telling her that her father, her only living parent, couldn't care for her? 1 week after her mother's death. The courtroom was silent. I've heard enough, the judge continued. Not only is there zero evidence of unfitness on Mr. Thompson's part, but there's substantial evidence that he's an exemplary father. Working from home allowed him to be present for his daughter while building a successful business. That's not neglect, Mrs. Hamilton. That's dedication. She turned to me. Mr. Thompson, I'm sorry for your loss. And I'm sorry you've had to defend your parenting during what should be a time of mourning. Then back to Patricia. Petition denied. Furthermore, I'm issuing a restraining order. You are not to contact Mr. Thompson or Emma except through supervised visits arranged at his discretion. Any attempt to interfere with their lives will result in criminal charges. Patricia broke down sobbing. She's all I have left of my daughter. And you tried to weaponize that grief against a grieving father, the judge replied. Court dismissed. As we gathered our things, Patricia's lawyer approached David, shaking his head. But instead of commiserating with his client, he turned to David and said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Ms. Brennan told me to tell you she's sorry she couldn't be here in person, but she's glad I could handle the withdrawal properly. I start Monday. David smiled. 9 a.m. sharp. Welcome to the team, Robert. Patricia's face went from pale to purple as she realized what had happened. Her own lawyer had been recruited by our firm. He'd withdrawn ethically, but the message was clear. I had the resources to play at levels she couldn't even imagine. Outside the courthouse, Emma tugged on my jacket. Daddy, why was Grandma so mad? I knelt down to her level. Sometimes when people are sad, they make bad choices. Grandma misses Mommy so much that she got confused about what was best for our family. Are we still a family? Even without Mommy. I pulled her into a hug, breathing in her strawberry shampoo smell. Always, baby. You and me were a perfect family. That was 6 months ago. Patricia has seen Emma exactly twice since then, during supervised visits at a neutral location. Each time, she's been polite but distant, the fight knocked out of her by the devastating legal loss. I've thought about reaching out, maybe trying to rebuild some kind of relationship for Emma's sake. But then I remember her trying to steal my daughter while I was still in shock from losing my wife. Some betrayals cut too deep to heal. My home job continues to thrive. We've expanded to 20 employees and just landed our biggest contract yet. Emma started kindergarten last month, and while the other parents do double takes when I'm the one at every school event, class party, and field trip, she just beams with pride. That's my daddy, she tells everyone. He works on computers and takes care of me. Last week, I found her playing Office in my study, typing gibberish on an old keyboard I gave her. I'm working from home like you, Daddy, she announced. So I can be with my kids all the time, too. I smiled, thinking of Melissa, how proud she'd be of our little girl. How furious she'd be at her mother for what she tried to do. But mostly, I felt grateful. Grateful for hidden resources Patricia never knew about. Grateful for lawyers who knew how to play hardball. But most of all, grateful that when someone tried to tear our little family apart, we were strong enough, and yes, wealthy enough, to fight back. Money can't buy happiness. It couldn't bring Melissa back or fill the hole her death left in our lives. But when someone tries to take your child because they think you're weak and poor, well, then money can buy justice. And sometimes